We're an iPaaS or a systems integrator, and we've had the pleasure of working, helping amazing brands like Lounge Underwear, Huel, Gymshark, and many more to internationalize over the years. Obviously with this presentation, I'm hoping to share a little bit of that experience with you guys. I would say that, apologies in advance, I think our creatives have tried to inject a train spotting theme into the presentation to spice it up a little bit. So apologies for any profanity and amusing slides as we go through. Scaling merchants internationally. So I think this is a really kind of big area. So I'm going to try and skim through it and touch on a number of different points. But I think one of the key things to understand is when you're scaling merchants internationally, that you have to kind of scale with them, and you have to really kind of take time to understand the business needs and to match solutions that resolve their issues, and to select softwares that will support their growth, not only in the short term, but also in the long term. So in order to scale internationally, you have to choose a mindset, you have to choose geography, you have to choose an ecosystem, you have to choose your budget, and you have to choose visibility. And again, you can start to see this slightly ham-fisted train spotting references coming through. So mindset, again, slightly creative slide here, but the all-in-one. So there are systems that kind of from the older world that profess to do everything for your customer, and they tend to be incredibly cumbersome, expensive, and in many ways inhibit growth. So I think the suggestion here is that a better mindset for high growth retailers today is to adopt the SaaS stack, or to choose a best of breed ecosystem of softwares that will support your merchants' growth internationally. And we've got some of the ones that we work with regularly here. So amazing marketing platforms, truly global POS platforms, excuse me, e-com platforms like Shopify Plus obviously are huge today. Equally so, BigCommerce. We're seeing headless platforms like Commerce Tools coming through, and also really nice kind of headless platforms like Aero that are coming up through from kind of from nowhere really, and kind of entering into our ecosystem. The other mindset that you might see starting to come into play is where you break up the softwares into even smaller components now. So this is an ideology called Composable Commerce, and that's where you start to break out the payment gateway and use really small components and integrate them together. So that's again something that we're starting to see a lot more of now. And what that enables you to do is to pivot and to exchange components really in a fluid way that mean that your merchants and your customers can evolve their platform in a very granular way as they scale internationally. So choosing geography, obviously it's very easy to target countries that share a language, but it's really important when you go into different countries that you understand that language is contextual. So for example, in the UK, if you say you're quite good at web development, that might mean that you're softly spoken and you're very good at web development, but in the US that genuinely means you are quite good at web development. So you have to be a little bit careful with the nuances of language. You have to make sure that your products or your merchants' products are culturally appropriate and are presented in a way which will suit the culture and work within that geography. Payment providers are really important. So obviously choosing softwares that support local payments in region and that are flexible, so that you can essentially adopt new payment methods as they arise. You'll see in the fintech space that there's a million new softwares coming out every day. And the same goes with fulfillment. And so choosing warehouses that service your customers' requirements in that geography. And obviously, with all of the systems that you put in play globally, you need to make sure that you can see what's going on across your platform. So here are some of the key choices that your merchants might have to make as they start to enter into new geographies. So they might have to choose a 3PL or a WMS for their logistics. So a 3PL is a managed warehouse, and a WMS is a warehouse software that where you might do your own warehouse. As you grow, you might need to choose an ERP, which is one of the kind of larger business systems that come into play and tend to have a slightly bigger price tag. You'll need to choose a finance package, a POS if you have tills, shops and retail, and obviously e-commerce. So there are a lot of choices that have to be made. In the warehouse and 3PL space, there are a lot of kind of truly global softwares and warehouse operators. And when selecting which partner to work with, you can help your merchant to make the right choice. But you have to be sure that the providers or the softwares have the right functionality. Increasingly, we're starting to see a lot of high growth brands that are doing kind of 60,000 orders an hour and that kind of stuff. So you have to make sure that you choose a partner that has an appropriate order capacity, so that when you get into peak, you're working with softwares that genuinely can accommodate the size of your merchant. Obviously, that software needs to be available in the country. You'll find that some of the 3PL providers or warehouse softwares have countries that they can't enter. I know that Sweden has some interesting tax rules, so a lot of companies that profess to be truly global can't actually operate in Sweden for some reason. And you need to make sure that the softwares and your partners also can present language, the appropriate language in region, and support across peak times. With warehouse, I think it's really important, and with all kind of warehouse softwares, you've got to make sure that the partner that you recommend to your customer or that your customer chooses has a great API so you can interact with it. And for warehouse in particular, having a good courier API is really important, because the courier landscape is changing really quickly, and so it's nice to be able to choose and add on new couriers. So having available connectors are also important. The same really goes for POS, or tills. So there are a lot of kind of really nice cloud-based lightweight POS systems that you can choose from for your merchants. They all have slightly different functionality. So some of the till systems that you'll encounter might have come from food and InBev. Some might be retail inflected. Some of them might be kind of much bigger systems like Oracle Xstore that have kind of advanced functionality. And again, similar rules apply. Make sure it's got a good API, lots of connectors, and make sure that you can see really what's going on across your global infrastructure. In terms of ERP, as you probably are aware, larger businesses tend to use ERP, and they kind of vary wildly in terms of how much they cost. So some industry leading names that we see a lot of systems like Oracle NetSuite and Microsoft Dynamics Nav, which tend to be reasonably expensive. There are great systems like Brightpearl that are cloud-based, that serve a lot of merchants that are kind of in that niche where they're slightly more affordable. And it's really important when you recommend these softwares that you kind of understand the kind of the cost center, or kind of that you have an understanding of these systems, so that you can guide your merchants to the appropriate software that supports their growth ambition. And then in terms of choosing visibility, you have to, increasingly businesses are choosing data warehousing and BI tools to attain actionable insights across their global operation. This is a really exciting growth area. And really importantly, these companies are looking to get a whole of business view across all of their softwares. As you are aware, I've no doubt, having reports is okay, but actually what you need are actionable insights so that you can make decisions based on the reports that you see. And those reports need to be live and on hand. So the days of spreadsheets and spreadsheet operation are starting to be a thing of the past. If you've got warehouses across multi-countries, you need to have visibility in terms of where your products and stock are across DCs. You need to be able to see if, for example, stocks on hand saleable and where it is across all of your different regions, and that you have a single source of the truth. It's very similar with sales and marketing. You need a global view, but what's really important, that you have a local understanding so you can see where you're performing and which demographics you're performing with. So global view, but a local understanding. So you really need to utilize that data for your merchants, or to present that data for your merchants so that they can operate in a way which is effective and informed. And you need clean data. So you need to be able to see if there are issues, you need to be able to see them so that you can deal with it. So you need to, as part of your growth plan, integration will be really important. So for any kind of global adventure for your merchants, you will need some level of automation, efficiency, and obviously with the ambition of operational excellence across country. I would say that choosing an integration partner or an iPaaS early in your kind of internationalization is a good idea, because they may have insights into which systems and softwares might be most relevant to your merchants, with a view to avoiding the mess, so messy system architecture, and starting clean. So starting with that central source of the truth that connects all of your different softwares together, so that you've got one point of contact if there's an issue with data processing and that kind of stuff. Any questions? The world is your lobster. Choose life.